are fine. Especially higher end, yeah.
Like the one front is smashed in passenger door. Yeah, getting off the 'Hello?
On, it's on now. Hi everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much for coming on a rainy Saturday morning for a beautiful event with Betty Holden and this wonderful poetry reading. It's so much better than snow, right? Yes. I'm just going to say a few words. My name is Jeff Arnell, and I'm the executive director here at the Black Mountain College Museum. And this is the last day of this weaving exhibition. So it's been a real joy to have this exhibition at our museum. So if you are able to stick around, this is not exactly how it looks because we had to move some walls in order to accommodate some seats. But if you stick around by noon or 1 o'clock, 12:30, the show will be put back together and you can see it in its full display. So that's one thing. Then we're going to be closed for 3 weeks and we're going to be opening a new exhibition on Vera B. Williams. And it's going to be really wonderful, and that's going to be on January 26th. That's the opening. And so please come to that. So for 3 weeks, we'll be de-installing the show and installing that show. We talk a lot here at our museum about collaboration, about our community having these wonderful events with each other. And we have a wonderful team, Alice and Kira and Maya and all of our board members and all of you that show up to all of our events. But all of this wouldn't be possible without Mary Thompson and Betty Holden. So, for real, and we appreciate it every day. And we're always building on our collective work and trying to improve. But Mary founded the museum in 1993, 30 years ago. 30 years ago. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Mary. And thank you again for being here.
Thank you. Thank you all for, I'm going to read this because I get tongue-tied. Thank you all for coming, and thank you to Jeff Arnall and Alice Sebrel and the wonderful, incredible staff who I love for hosting this event, which is very special to us. A big thank you also to Susan Rue back there, who has designed this beautiful book. My mother has been writing poetry, taking photographs, painting, and sculpting ever since I remember. She has always been discreet about her work, never expressed a desire to publish. She has lived an artist's life, always concerned with images and words. For many years, I encouraged her to try to publish her poetry, but I never got very far. And recently, my sister Grace said that she too had encouraged our mother to publish for years. I had no idea. Well, strangely enough, dare I say, it was thanks to the scammers that came into our mother's life that set the ball rolling. In 2020, a man started calling our mother, claiming that he would protect her assets and ensure that no fraudulent activity would happen on her computer or on her bank accounts. He called her every single day for about 2 months. He got to know our mother well, especially since he had total access to her computer. He told her that he had someone who could create a website of her poetry. So the two men called her daily, one to check in on her and so-called befriend her, and the other to work on her website. Eventually, my sister and I grew suspicious. We discovered that little by little they'd been taking money out of her accounts. But to make a long story short, they had begun the process of creating a website for my mother, which has now become this book. After we blocked the scammers from our mother's life, we found someone to take over and work with her on an improved website, changing the layout and design. Recently, my sister and I thought, why not make a book of these poems? I turned to Susan Rue for guidance. Susan was immediately willing to take on the job of designing the book. And here it is, and it is extremely exciting to have our mother's first reading ever, and in this perfect setting of the Black Mountain College Museum and Art Center. Before she begins, I'd like to read part of what she calls Reflections on Myself. Sorry, I'm a little shaky because I had an accident yesterday, but anyway, all is well. Reflections on Myself. Where was I born? It really does not matter. My true home was on the coast of Maine. There I would listen to the crash of waves in the rising tide and the slow suck of water as the sea withdrew. The raucous cry and dive of seagulls served as the background of my early days. I am a water creature responding to the tides, wind, and weather. My rhythms change. It is not easy to pin me down, for I am elusive, drawn to the mystery of existence, ever in motion. I think of my life as a slow climb from the ocean deep upward toward sky. This is a journey built around an ongoing search for a new way of being, an ongoing search for an increased consciousness. Always it was the inner life that mattered. What was unseen and powerful ever captivated my attention. And silence, this is where I bloomed, just listening and absorbing. This is what I found best to feed my roots. So much activity within. Of course, I must speak about my sense of beauty, which grew as I grew. I found myself surprised by beauty in a growing eloquence of subjects, the soft exuberance of line and form, the novelty of a birth opening into world, the seductive and provocative changing light. And let me not forget horses. I have ridden them. I have dreamed them. In the dreams, they start my energy. They matter. They speak to me. And every time one crosses my path, I must stop to watch. I feel them now, alive, running their course. When I was young, I practiced being a horse, galloping, snorting, and changing gaits. And the mushes, the combination of colors rubbed together, brought me much pleasure over the years. They took form without thought. I simply rubbed with my fingers until the forms satisfied me. And poetry, my love for poetry, this longing for music and words, rooted in childhood, is a part of my deepest being, my way of responding to what awakens feeling. They enabled me to travel into some untouched terrain. They were my own way to decipher and bless life. And with that, my mother will begin. They are separated into, well, some of them are family poems, some are on nature and writing, some are on family and love. And Mom, are you ready? Here's the first one.
The first one, and let me say, I'm not used to having this little silver ball in front of me. So if you can't hear me, or call out. The first one is called Infusion. Only when I'm still can it happen. The chatter fades, makes room for something new. Now is the time I fetch the cup Peggy gave me years ago, where it sits high on the mantel behind the china figurines. Only yesterday it told me its name, the white cup of tranquility. I fill it to the brim with steaming water, drop in a bag of chamomile, watch the water glow, become a golden brown. Now I slip into the cup, feel the stirring of my years, whirl about me as I sleep. This is your life, the cup says, everything you have been and done, turning like this tea, a sunlit shade. Outside, the day turns dark and damp. I lift the cup to my lips, savor the sweet warmth in its apple aroma running through me. This cup is my chalice, where I hold the heart of all being.
The next few are about family. My mother had a kind of a complicated relationship with her mother, and so it maybe will come through with this. Here's the next one, Mom.
My mother lives in a fever of light, a house laddered with candelabra, sconce, and chandelier, lamps of all sizes and shape, switches, cords, and plugs. Everything shines in this house, where darkness, like dust, is flushed out of corners. But all this light tricks me, fills me with singular notions, winds me in its elaborate web where I cannot find my way. It strands me in its snare, blinds me to depth and pattern. My shadow shrinks against the wall. I squint in the glare, dazed with this glitter of surface play, sculpt my shape in its wake. I am slow to tilt with darkness, slow to unravel its knots, inspect ambush, apprehend deceit. Even the perjurer slips by unsuspected. How long must I see in this way, bounded by the strictures of noon? How long to decipher this intrigue and recognize I am afflicted by light?
And this one is about my mother's aunt who died at a very young age.
It's called The Family Beauty. After all these years, I still see her, Elizabeth, sliding down the banister, blonde hair, the color of honey. Her laughter spills through the rooms. She is summer field and moonlight. After all, she is the family beauty. Her parents, May and Ray, repeat this once, twice, many times more, and she ornaments herself with this glowing phrase, embroidering her nights, her days and nights. This is who she is, beautiful. Her twin sisters, Mary and Peggy, hurt, hearing she is the prize, the winner, the beauty, the one most coveted. They will carry this pain through their lives, and when they look at her and or remember her, they see only what they wish had been said of them. 50 years after her early death, I, named after her, know almost nothing of her life, but my aging mother, memory sliding, rests on her cushioned couch in the failing light, soberly repeats again and again, she was, after all, the family beauty.
I don't really know if I need to present these each time, but this one is about her father. And unless you have something extra to say, Mom.
Yes, I can still see him. The poem is called Peering. His dark figure, an ancient oak in his forest green robe. He peers into the night, trying to see exactly what goes on at 1 a.m. in the back seat of the red coupe. where I huddle with Steve, clutching tight, arms wrapped, pretzel-like, oblivious to everything, but our bodies rushing through our lips until we spot him on the kitchen porch, backlit by the bare bulb. This is called What's Left. The sea is stronger, darker now. The surf savage, lashing spray-washed rock. My cousin Nan writes, it's time to go. Leave the lobster man, hauling in their heavy nets, cut back withered stalks, standing in the chill, lonely reminders of her southern garden. All the renters have jammed luggage in their cars and set for a home. Boats hauled and stored in the old shingled boathouse beside the restless river. A certain sadness hovers over endings. More swiftly now each comes. The mind blurs what happens when, only last week, Nan asked, Bets, when will we die? We are not that old, as counting has it, and yet we hear the breathing, distant but drawing close. Oh, Nan, beautiful Nan, you have floated through your days, whispering delight over and over. It still seems far away, she writes, but I see you out there, beyond the hills, coming my way.
The next three are about nature and writing.
This is called The Travail of Trees. I watch it coming, the very slow change in the trees. Only hints at first, a blush turning to fever, sour wood, then dogwood. I am neither happy nor sad, only curious to share the travail of trees, where color exceeds itself day after day, flushing up questions. Does hardwood feel the tug of leaf on a distant twig? What kind of knowing flourishes with foliage and withstands the shedding of color and fruit every fall? Is that sign or singing I hear in the leaves as they burn deep and red?
Do you want to talk about this first?
Yes, this is called Cape Breeze, and it's about my love for solitude and quietness. I'm Cape Breeze. I'm holed up tight in a small shingled cabin, barely 15 feet from the sea. When the tide runs high, it rushes up the stairs, rinsing my deck. I've come to the Cape on an obscure journey, needing the cadence, the lapping, the cure of water. All night I listen to it, dragging somber weight in and out over the sand, and my days flow undeciphered as I sit by the window hour after hour, lost in the olive ripples as they lift, curl, and spill white froth along the shore. An unmarked page sits before me. I'm courting silence because wild things want words. So I pass my hours turning over and over these months, coaxing tenderness green in the shadow of death, letting all this swell, break, and recede, sensing myself become one with the motion of the sea, where endings and beginnings are never clear, and what is dream and what is not blur like the slate gray water which runs seamless into the sky today. The page lies white, waiting for some message, but how can it find me? A sleepwalker moving over cut glass. So I must go gently, gently, remembering that wild things want words and the heart needs silence to repair. This poem is called What Lasts. Here in Black Mountain, the leaves are turning red as I look over old poems, peering through gauze curtains to trace my singular passage. I'm holding up moments, holding them as my life. This is what lasts. A spinning of wind and water, the old family house perched on the rock-bound coast of Maine, shudders, then slips into the wild winter sea. My daughter lives with her child in the French village of Limour. The cobbled streets are covered with snow. A hush hangs over the town, except for the bells. Then there's the cold November light, throwing long shadows across my father's bedroom, and the trail that winds the lake in the deep forest of pine, spruce, cedar, where Richard and I walk, talking, pausing to marvel at fern and lichen, climbing the shoulders of old stone walls, everything green as we were then.
The next two are about family and love.
Oh, just you wanted, I'm sorry.
Right.
Sorry.
Yes, you keep that. All right. The garden in Limour. It's 15 years since we traveled to Limour, an old village, to visit our daughter. It is the garden I most remember, where we sat around a white metal table, sipping an elegant Bordeaux Jean-Luc bought and breaking the amber crust of a warm baguette, the last roses heavy with scarlet bloom. The sun hardly moves, suspended behind the stone wall. How good to be together after all these months. The girls, 2 and 4, crawl from chair to chair, hunting crumbs and bits of cracker. Even the tiger wasps seem benevolent as they circle and settle on the bowl of ripened figs. Suddenly, I am seized with desire to hold that afternoon in all its detail, to press it deep within as I once pressed spring flowers, ironing bluets and snowdrops in wax paper, piling book on book, waiting fervently to hold their fresh beauty. My daughter sighs, Why can't it stay this way forever? Our ready laughter rising over the somber, measured pealing of church bells. I did not know, as I now know, that the moments, the hours, the weeks slip through us as we swim through our days in the uncertain tidal spin. And this is called The Practice of Love. I had an old friend very dear to me who this poem is written about. The practice of love. After all, it is a lover's touch, although you say nothing, as you run your hand up and down the sleeve of my gray cashmere sweater, wrist to elbow to shoulder and back again. Again and again, you tell me how touch is a language more keen than words, how an embrace links heart to heart. Whenever you must sign a check, I take your fingers in my own, lifting them to the exact spot on the line where the pen must fall. And when your eyes are dry, I tilt your head, my hand in your brow, and poise the dropper just so, that one and only one drop floods the eye. Oh, marvelous touch, you carry the weight of what lies unspoken. Words refuse to serve and fly away like frightened gulls.
So, do you want to read one or two more, Mom, or?
Yes.
Yes? Yes? Okay. Here we go. Hey, Mom.
This poem is called Red.
Oh,
What?
oh, never mind, sorry.
Red, with the evening, the red light of the falling sun slides into the river, paints the current quickening towards sea. Red carries you into the paneled library where your mother and father sip their drink as the sun sinks into the bottles on glass shelves over your mother's desk. Antique bottles collected for years, crimson and ruby, their lips and bellies float fire, shoot a sheet of red over the rug. Across the room, Weber's portrait, the naturalist, a stout cardinal, robed in scarlet, a misfit in that green meadow, where he inspects a dragonfly under glass. He dominates the mantle, a red life out of place. The room ignites with sunset. Red boils your blood, red stains the sofa and pools in your footprints, although you won't see this till years have passed. And this is called Sailing. Today, late June, I lie in a bed of stillness, sailing my little boat, letting memories ripple like waves, relishing. I'm at my daughter's house, sitting under a striped umbrella. April sun warms our backs, the post shoved aside with those haunting headlines, hunger and violence. And here just now, peace, Alfie, Benji, Chili, Comic sheltered dogs lie beside the picket fence, half dozing, waiting for footsteps on the walk to trigger a bold rush of bark. Overhead, a flutter of chattering house sparrows nested in the rolled up awning. The air swells with the sweet smell of peonies. The clocks have stopped. Time does not matter. This is what I will hold as I leave this earth. Leaf sway, dog nails clicking on the deck, the scent of peonies drifting.
Okay, I guess one more little one.
This is called The Feet of Angels. After long seclusion in this summer of silence comes a tilting of balance, a change in the light. But only when I submit to sound do I hear the feet of angels. As I play, do I hear the feet of angels at play in the house I inhabit. Their unpredictable comings and goings, their singular sense of design.
And that's Thank you all so much for coming, and if you all want to have a discussion or, you know, anything casual, we're so happy to have you. Oh yeah, we do have copies of the book, of course. But happy to have, if you want to talk a little bit, or I mean, I don't know. Any questions or?
When did
When did you start writing?
Why or
When?
When? Many years ago. I can't remember the date. But always I loved writing and loved reading writers.
Thank you for publishing your poems.
I think we need a CD of her reading her poems. Can we do that? That's the next step.
All right.
Well, we can all get together and mingle. Let's mingle.